you've been working with Eric is gone this week. And I think he's probably coming down from Mount Marcy and the Adirondacks right now. But anyway, this project, if you're not with it, is deep-water greenhouse that we've looked at. We have a site where we have approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission site, which is on Central Boulevard. It's a very good site. We're good for this greenhouse. Greenhouse wall is for student education. We will manage it, but there will be a school running.
I'll give you a chance for detail on it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just wanted to add something in general, do so now, but we'll give you more time then. Yeah, okay, good. All right. Any other public input? Okay, additions or deletions? We have the addition of the fire hall air conditioning unit. We'll put that under 10J. And the clerk treasurer contract and job offer under 10K. Any other additions or deletions? Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion that we accept the additions.
Okay, motion by White to accept the additions or deletions.
I'll second it.
Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, approve the minutes of the study session of June 3rd and the study session and regular meeting of June 17th, 2025. Approval of all bills and payrolls as audited by the audit committee, the overtime report, and the correspondence.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by White. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Lassie.
That being said, I have some
Any
questions.
discussion? Yep.
Yes, please. So, a quick question for you, Troy. This is just for my information so we can make sure that the money's going where it's supposed to be. So your overtime report for you and Todd is for filling in for med calls. Was that during their shift, their 12-hour shift, or was that at the end of their shift, or?
So where it says billing, one of our officers had basically halfway through his shift. And so then my shift was extended 4 hours and then Officer Jacob's shift was extended 2 hours. And then where it says ambulance driver, I believe that was actually because one of our officers had to drive the ambulance or the ambulance. And so whenever one of our officers drives the ambulance, we have to put somebody on call to cover town. And so that's where that comes from.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Bill?
No, I just was curious. 'Cause
Okay. All right,
that makes sense.
any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Jukunsich.
Yes, motion carries. Attorney's report.
Do you want to take this one?
I'll start, yeah. So I asked to put this under the attorney's report because I had a question for Joel regarding some personal property and debris that is on city lots. And so, it doesn't necessarily have to go to an attorney right now, but the main question was, do we have, an opportunity to have the property owner next door take care of that stuff? And so we'll start with a letter, sent to him from the office saying, please remove your debris. The city is not responsible for that stuff. And then we'll just kind of go from there and see how it goes. So that being said, I need a motion to direct the city staff to send a letter to the Central Boulevard Apartments. That's what they're called, right? Central Manor?
Central Manor.
Central Manor, yeah. To ask them to remove their debris that's on our property, that the debris is there from when the garage was built a bunch of years ago. And then they also put their plow, their snow, when they're looking for snow, and like the debris from that is all on there also. So that needs to be straightened up a little bit because it shouldn't be the city's cost.
Well, number one, if it's a blight and exterior storage that's not proper, it should be referred to the zoning officer for enforcement. She has the zoning officer has the enforcement obligation and authority to notify and get it cleaned up. And if,
I'm fine with either
Yeah.
one, as long as it gets done.
this is a, normal procedure is blight issues like this go through your enforcement officer.
Okay.
If you want to go through, well,
Well, it's been there quite some time, it's not new, so.
yeah, and I don't know if she is aware of it or if she's received a complaint or what the deal is, but
Probably not.
she has the enforcement authority.
Okay, so you prefer to go through the blight,
I would think so,
that's fine.
because the city cannot issue, only the blight officer can issue a fine, through
I'm
the
not saying a
better-
fine, I'm saying a letter to clean it up.
Yeah, well, if they don't clean it up,
So,
then the next step is
I-
fine.
If I can chime in just here briefly, because this is actually occurring on the city-owned property, my recommendation is to send correspondence to the responsible party authorizing them access to the city property, because they've actually been placing this material on the city property, and there's some material that was left, some debris that was left there and not cleaned up. So I think if we start with a letter asking them to remove that and authorizing them to come onto the city property to do so, that would make sense. And then if they fail to do that, then to maybe go the enforcement route through the blight officer.
Okay, I thought it was on their property, Joel, but it's on our property, yeah, okay.
Well, it's actually on both. They also have a substantial portion that they should clean up, but it actually extends on the city property. And then there's other things that are just solely on city property that should be tended to.
Well, then we can send a letter and she can send a letter.
And I just want to clarify too, that this is concerned, there's a 30-day window for that. The property it's on is where the Deep Winter Greenhouse wants to go.
Mhm.
So I think time is of the essence as well.
Cleaned it up yesterday.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we shouldn't be responsible for cleaning it up. So it was just brought to my attention. I never really noticed it before, to be honest with you, so.
Yep.
So we just want to make sure we enact on it now that we know all about it.
Okay,
Okay, that's all. Also, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the responsible party to clean up the mess on city property
Okay, within 30 days.
within 30 days.
Okay, motion by White. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now Joel?
I don't, thank you, Mayor, I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, ordinance number 274 regarding regulations for the keeping of chickens within the residential district. Fee schedule amendment for chicken keeping permits.
Mayor, before you do anything, you have the ordinance before you that went through the planning commission. The planning commission did go through it, but we also left room for any of you to make modifications if you want. So if I could just take a minute and go through some of the parts you might want to consider and some of the reasoning. Let me find it here, okay. All right, if you refer to your B, maximum number of chickens is 4, that follows a Shoreview model where you were considering 6. Planning commission settled for 4. My recommendation would be 0, but that's okay. But that's up to you. That's something you might want to consider. Then if you go down to C, housing requirements, the coop must be 4 square feet, blah, blah, blah. We
Per
also,
chicken.
yeah, per chicken. The zoning officer suggested that 4 square feet might be too large, that you might want to consider 2 square feet. 4 square feet is, I guess, Minnesota standards. Let's see, what else? Okay, the 20-foot side lot line, whatever. Sanitation and nuisance, item D. Some discussion on that was whether you wanted to keep in the slaughtering or butchering of chickens within the city limits is prohibited. So that there was a little discussion. Some people felt could be removed. Some people wanted it in. One of the things on the next page was, of course, everybody, the concern here is with bird flu and whatever, and we did revise that a little bit where it says if the chicken dies, the Board of Health must be notified immediately. There is a number there, which I think is wrong. I think Commissioner Sherman updated a new number, which I would like to suggest you write down for consideration. This is from the Minnesota Board of Animal Health. And the number is, if you want to put it down, 1-833-454-0156. I guess those are the ones who would appropriately deal with a chicken that has unexpectedly died. And that would be the avenue to go into the bird flu and whatever. So if you have any other questions about this, Again, I find it kind of ironic, seeing as how I'm so opposed to chickens that I end up writing and revising the ordinance.
Because you
I
said-
couldn't figure out a way to sneak in 0 chickens or anything like that.
Because you refused to write the ordinance the first time, so then we did, and then you said that's your job.
No, I said that there were things that were not consistent with the zoning ordinance that needed to be cleaned up. And that's why we did that in section 3. These were changes that are necessary to conform with the zoning ordinance. So now if you pass this thing, with whatever changes, that should be clean.
Well, there are some typos in section 2D, disease control. If a chicken has died.
The boar,
the boar.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
and before it also, the chicken has died. So, but also.
Yeah.
Now, how are you gonna monitor if a chicken has died?
That is not my problem.
Okay, no, just
No,
wondering.
to tell
and
you
then-
the truth,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right,
You'd almost have to have the chicken owners on their own, or when you give out the license for chickens, you might want to put something in there about if a chicken dies, this is your responsibility. And that's the only way you can get away with it.
We'll give this whole ordinance probably a copy of this when they get their license.
Yeah, they should get that, and there are 2 permits that you have to adopt yet too. One with the fee and one for the building of the coop.
I have a question, is a lot of this was mirrored the city of Shoreview. The covered netting, is that pretty much a standard all the
This, I
time?
think, was suggested on the original copy
Okay,
where the netting was there, so.
do you know anything about that?
Oh,
If you look, I didn't bring the original copy, but it did say netting would be over the fencing. I think the only things that were changed was a reference to the zoning ordinance and,
and the number,
and the number.
why did you choose 4 versus 6?
Well,
And I know you prefer 0.
I prefer 0 or 1.5, something like that, but, I guess Shoreview is, down in the cities, they have a chicken ordinance and, they allow 4. If you
Okay.
guys want to allow 6 or 10,
Nope, I was just wondering if there was a reason for it.
no,
Okay.
I brought these up because these are things that, you guys might want to consider.
All right, is there any other questions? Other than the,
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance number 274 with the changes,
with what changes?
the typing
Oh, the
and the
typos?
phone number.
Okay. Okay, and do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by White. Any discussion? No discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
No.
I don't know, I would say cluck, cluck. Hell no.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, fee schedule amendment for chickens. Do you have the fees in it? I didn't see them.
I don't see them either.
I believe we just need to create
Oh,
the fees, yeah.
okay. So did planning and zoning have any recommendations for fees?
No, we didn't, but I do have a suggestion or two that, number one, it should be enough to cover the zoning officer's time for inspection and for building. So, you know, it should be modeled after maybe what do you charge for a garage or something like that. And I don't have the fee schedule with me. And then the licensing should be, again, enough so that you can cover inspections if you would have any complaints or things like that. So the building is going to be a one-time permit. The licensing would probably be annual. And I don't know at this time how many chickens we have or how many coops or how much inspection there's going to be. I mean, it's just
Well, I
a
would
shot
say
in the
it's gonna
dark.
be the same, so similar. I mean, the dog licenses are every year, right?
You know, something
Mhm.
along those lines, although, you know, there might be more complaints about chickens than dogs and cats.
So we definitely need two different fees. We need a zoning permit fee for the zoning application for the
And
coop.
that would be handled by your zoning officer, Chris Clavisto. And then you would need, like an annual inspection fee for compliance. That would be handled by your enforcement officer.
And a license fee, so we need 3 fees or just
What's the
Just-
zoning,
2?
what's the zoning change?
for the coops.
Like a permit.
So that would be a
building
permit.
A
Okay,
permit
so
to
the
build-
permit for the coop and then the
Yeah.
chicken permit, which is annual or chicken license or whatever you wanna call it.
Like a dog or cat.
Yep, and then is there also an inspection, a yearly inspection that needs to be done?
Well, we don't know if you're gonna get complaints or anything. You know, I would hope that most people are going to be, you know, in compliance with it, but like anything else, there are always one or two that do not. And they don't follow the rules, and you might have to answer complaints and send the zoning officer over there to check for compliance, so.
Did the model ordinances from other communities include numbers?
No, I don't think so.
But like, if there's a complaint about chickens, like so say there are complaints about dogs and stuff, is there a ticket then that's ordered, or is that the same, or?
Well, you know, you have a dog ordinance, which is very complete. It's in our nuisance things, and you have things about barking dogs, vicious dogs, and there are definite rules that the PD can follow and has to follow to, you know, ensure the safety and the well-being of the neighborhood.
Mhm.
I don't think you're gonna have any
Attack
vicious
chickens.
chickens at all.
Attack chickens? Alright,
The chicken
geese,
people
they're
should
mean.
be here.
Okay, all right, does anyone have any recommendations? Do you want to table this one more time, or do you want to go?
Well, I
ahead
think we
and
should
do this
table
one?
the fees that we're talking about so we can take a look at what other, it can't be that hard to get a copy of what the other communities have.
But that
for
means that they can't go forward with the chickens. then.
I would like to make sure we have all the ducks in a row anyway.
Attorney Loki has something
Yeah,
to
yeah.
say, please.
Okay,
Shoreview has a 2-year license application fee, which is $30. It's not annual, it's a 2-year fee, which is separate from the zoning permit fee for the construction of a coop. So that would be separate, so it's $30. So the model ordinance that you were working off of from Shoreview, that's what they charge. The permit application fee for the coop, I think the recommendation was to make it similar to other accessory buildings or structures, which makes sense for that purpose, but that would give you a starting point of what you.
What is the fee on that? What's the fee for, what's permit for garage?
Oh,
A
I don't know
gazebo.
what they are. We adopt that annually. I think it might be around 30 or 50 bucks.
Is a gazebo, is a
40
gazebo,
bucks?
40, 50.
So I was right in the ballpark, wasn't
is a gazebo the same thing or a storage shed the same as a garage?
it?
2050.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's 2050.
Well, it should be closer to that. Right? I mean, a storage
I would say
shed,
it's smaller than a garage.
exactly. So $20 for the, are we calling that a building permit?
We can't call them building permits now because we don't have all of the state building.
Okay, right.
We changed it all. We call
Zoning
them
permit? Zoning permit?
permits, yeah.
So I don't know, let's just start with 20 on that. Shoreview is at 2 years for $30 for 6 chickens.
4.
Oh, they're at 4 chickens?
That's where you got the 4
So,
from.
oh, well, I guess that'd be,
Whatever.
we can go with that.
Okay.
Unless we want to go per chicken or
I don't
something.
Oh, I'd be,
like
I'd be good with that. I'd be good with that.
$20.50. You want to kind of keep that?
that. What?
$20.50.
Yeah, we can do that, 20,
Yeah,
50.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Oh, on what
Yeah.
she said? Okay, $20.50, sure.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's those two. What else is there?
The 30-year, 2-year app, and then is there an inspection fee, annual inspection fee? I think we should just let it go forward, and if there's a problem, then we need to
We'll
implement it.
adapt.
I think that if I can just
Yeah.
suggest, if you want to include that as part of your pricing for the zoning permit, I think because it's the zoning officer and the blight officer doing the inspections. So our permits, we charge people for publishing in the paper, the zoning officer's time, any inspections. So if that $20, if you're content with the $20.50 covering both the zoning application for those purposes of the inspection as well, maybe up that price to include it all in
Yeah.
one as a suggestion.
Let's not do inspection.
How about $40?
$40.50, which is the same as a utility building, but that would also just include your inspections that we pay the blight officer to do.
Lost me.
What's the difference between utility and a shed?
Well, no, if I get a permit for a shed for $20.50, does he not inspect it too? So why would I pay more because I build a chicken coop instead of a shed? I'm just asking. I mean, do they not inspect both?
Yes, but the shed is done and done, right? It's built and then done. But the inspection could be continuous for chickens, right, Jim, or no?
Well, yeah, you have annual permits for dogs and cats, and it should be, for chickens, should be along the same lines.
Well, this is a 30-year, 2-year.
Yeah, well, you can decide what you want to do, because for dogs and cats, we have up to, what, a 3-year? Yeah,
Depending on rabies.
we have a 3-year permits for dogs and cats. If you want to do that for chickens, I don't see a problem with that. Just set the fee. But I do think it should be a separate fee to build the chicken coop. That's one. And then when the person comes to the fee for the chickens, they have to come with proof of completion of a chicken education course before they can be licensed.
Was that in there?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right
I remember
there.
you talked about it.
Yep.
Yeah, they just do that online and bring a certificate in, right?
Yeah, and I guess you have to enroll in a 4-year college for that, so.
So let's just make a motion with 30 and 20.
So it'd be a while
That's what I
before the
say.
chickens.
Okay. For 2
My
years?
question is then in that ordinance right
For 2 years.
underneath, it does say inspection. So under that inspection in the
Excluding
ordinance
inspection.
that just passed, it does say the city zoning enforcement officer and or the Babbitt Police Department are authorized to conduct inspections for compliance. That's the inspection you're talking about that should
Okay.
have a fee.
I'll make a motion that we do the
We already
zoning.
we have a motion on
We
the
did have a
floor.
motion?
Yep. Oh, wait, no.
No, we didn't motion
That
on
was to
this.
adopt that.
So
Okay, we're on the
right
fee
now.
schedule. Okay, sorry about that, Joe. All right, what's your motion?
I'll make a
Joe?
motion that we do the $30 for a 2-year license and then $20.50 for the zoning permits.
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Lossing. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think that's fine, Joe. Are you gonna direct who to make the permit forms? Is it the zoning office, or is it up here, the city office, who should develop the form? Normally, it should be the zoning officer.
Well, then I think
Well, then that's,
who it
I
should be.
will make the motion, the zoning officer.
Or add to your motion.
I added to my motion, yeah.
Mhm.
I know Chris is in favor of this. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay. Dwayne, are you okay with that too, that addition? Okay, all right, any further discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
Well, I have to vote yes on this one.
Lossing,
Yes?
White,
Yes,
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, campground seasonal forfeiture. Okay, we discussed this at the last council meeting on how to proceed, how to handle. Would you like to expound on it, Sarah?
Sarah Kirsten, who has.
Yeah, who was
So
handling it?
Kirsten had it on the last agenda, had a sample. I believe Attorney Loki said he was gonna look into it.
Okay,
and-
that's where we're at. Okay,
I have an updated form to provide that can be used anytime this happens, but it'll be applicable to this one as well, so.
And I did hear from the people who are interested in forfeiting their site, just so you guys are aware, I don't think that they're interested in signing any form and giving up rights to their site for this season if they aren't getting any percentage of anything back. They did sell their camper, but they will choose to just leave it empty.
it's not what the host told me on Sunday when I was camping there. He told me they were planning on having, the camper was sold. And because it's sold, it'll be me leaving the campground.
Yeah, but the people who have rented the site are choosing not to forfeit the site, and if they want to come
Oh.
put a tent, like, unless they're getting a percentage of their money back or anything, they're just gonna leave it empty, and on the one-off chance that they come up, they're gonna keep it.
That he didn't cover, so, okay.
So that's interesting and maybe that will help us on a decision next time.
yeah, in the agreement now though, it says if they cancel, they forfeit their money, right? The agreement that they signed now?
We don't have an agreement in
Oh,
place
okay,
right
got it.
now,
So
we're
you don't
still
have that.
discussing that, so
Got it.
if you guys choose to, so the
Alright.
update that Kirsten
So
is
there's-
saying is that they're not interested in forfeiting their site unless there is some sort of incentive for them to forfeit. So if you guys decide as a council to do maybe a percentage, a couple
Mhm.
council meetings ago, there was some examples of if we were to re-rent the site, we would make this much money and we would be able to, we would be willing to give the campers who forfeited their site 50% back.
Sure,
If the site got rented. So there is potential for a contract to have verbiage like that as well, because there is no contract, no
Is-
cancellation
There's a
contract
diff-
in place.
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Is there anything in there about them subletting their site?
Yes, there's no subletting.
No
Okay.
subletting allowed.
Their demand for the site,
There's a
We
waiting
do
list.
have a wait list, yes.
so we could take action right now, could we? I mean, we could, we're leaving money on the table basically is what we're doing right now.
Well, they paid for it already.
Yeah, no.
They did, but we could give them something back and get a full payment from somebody else.
Well, they would only pay for the remainder. of the-
Partial payment.
We're not gaining nothing by doing anything. There's no financial gain no matter what decision we make. I mean, they already paid for it for the year.
The community is the one that wouldn't get any financial gain
Yeah.
from different people. coming
Yeah,
in.
but we'd be able to up the waiting list if people want to get on it right away. We can move
What we
somebody up
talked about
faster.
previously was prorating a daily basis rate. If someone else was interested in taking over their agreement and then giving the original renters 10% of that, 20% of that. So they get something in return for forfeiting their site and then we recoup a larger profit for re-renting it out.
And also, it's good business to create a new client right now. You're creating a new client that's gonna spend money in the office, bring family to town, stuff like that.
And
When the tent is sitting there, they're not buying any Polish from Zeus. Or whatever. They're not filling up their vehicles at the gas station. All the things that the campground should be benefiting the community about isn't happening when their empty tent is sitting there. So,
So,
well, I guess in that rate, I would make a motion that we see what financial deal they'd be willing to accept if we're gonna give them 30% prorated for the rest of the year, if we can get someone to move in there and rent it?
I suggest that we just come up with a policy and present them with the policy, and then they have the choice. Because we don't know, I mean, people that are renting these seasonal sites, we don't know how much they occupy them anyways. So you're saying there's an empty tent there, how do we know there's not empty campers sitting there?
Yeah.
We
True.
don't know that, so, but the potential to get more revenue does, but I think you guys need to decide as a council on some distinct numbers and something to present to these campers who are potentially forfeiting their site.
Have you guys crunched any numbers at all?
Yeah, they
We
were
did
in
a
a
couple meetings ago when it was
Yeah.
initially brought up.
Right, I remember that too.
And I think like a prorated basis would be around like $15 a day for that person, and then if you, whatever percentage you decide to give back to the person forfeiting their site. I mean, it sounds to me like they would be happy with anything over nothing, because they're already gone.
Do you want me to take a moment to go find the numbers?
It'll probably be all right. We could go on with something else and come back to
Yeah.
this, right?
If you wouldn't mind.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, then we'll table that portion for now, and we'll go on to the committee reports of Public Safety Committee, Police Department, Body Cams. Troy?
So I was approached by Chief Klogstad with East Range Police Department a couple weeks ago. They are upgrading their Axon 3 body cams to Axon 4 body cams, and they're looking to get rid of their old body cams. They would be willing to sell us their old body cams for $1,500, which is a significant discount from kind of new. To use them though, we'd have to get licensure and data storage, which would be $2,602 a year for 5 years at a total cost of $13,011. Just for comparison, quoting out to do a new body cam program would be in a range of $23,000 to $46,000. So we'd be able to get the cameras and get out and running with the body cam program at about half the cost of what it would be otherwise. So I'm looking for permission to proceed on that. If you guys have any questions.
We don't have it. You have nothing right now?
No.
Didn't we before have something?
At one time under Chief Owen. I think
Yeah,
the body
I thought they
cams-
did, so it fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Did you talk to the safety committee?
Yep, and it was the recommendation of the safety committee to proceed.
I just had a quick question. So they're getting rid of their old, why are they getting rid of their old ones and upgrading new ones? Is there something?
They just want the newest ones. Like all 8 cameras are in good working condition. And they'd be expected to last us for the duration.
Okay.
The nice thing with them giving us 8 for that price is if they only have 5 officers, so if 1 or 2 break or go out of service, we have spares. We'd only be doing the licensure and data storage subscription for 5 cameras at a time. So we wouldn't be paying for those extra 3.
Okay.
They'd be there for extra parts or replacement.
Okay.
If this is a common thing where communities are updating, you'd think that the market would be flooded with these cameras. Is this a good deal on the market? I mean, I know this is who approached you, right? And this is the information you have. But
Are you able to pay for it in your budget?
Yes.
Out from where?
So, we had planned on replacing the old Tahoe this year. It's been running good, and then I delayed that. We'll replace it next year instead. That way that kind of catches up. I know we had replaced it already a year early. And then we were budgeting to replace, radios, because we expected St. Louis County to switch to encryption. And then that would have meant all of our radios would have been not working. St. Louis County has delayed that a couple more years, and so we don't have that expense anymore either.
I guess I'll make a motion that we go ahead and authorize him to buy the body cameras.
Okay, motion by White, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Fitzpatrick, discussion?
I think it's a good idea, and I'll just explain why I think it's a good idea. We've had some complaints in the past, and overall, I think the camera not only protects our officers, it protects those getting pulled over when we have incidences of any type of discretion going on the, anytime they pull over, lights go on. My understanding is that camera comes on. So that whole interaction is recorded, and I think that's a good thing. There's a lot of animosity towards law enforcement these days and stuff like that. I think it's good to protect our officers as well as our citizens from any complaints they may have.
Yeah, body cams are a really good insurance policy for both the officers and the
Yep.
city. When those complaints come in, you can just view the footage, and that gets rid of a lot of those complaints right away. And then it's really good for evidentiary purposes in court. That might even save time as far as officers having to testify all the time, because they can just pull the camera and watch the camera in the courtroom.
So I'm all on board with the justification of having them. I guess my little bit of a hang up is yes, compared to new, this is a heck of a good deal. But compared to other used ones on the market, is it a good deal? That's all I'm saying. Because have you had a chance? Is there any way that we can
I have
see if
not-
anybody else has a bunch for sale, or?
I have not seen any other used ones for sale. Most departments, from what I've seen, they lease them, and so then when they're done with them, they send them back.
Okay. Well, that would explain. I just figured if this town was doing that, a lot of towns were probably doing the same thing, which would mean the market would be full of opportunity.
I guess I have a bit that I could add on that too, because we've looked at that with radios and things. And it's the same thing, the big communities lease all
Lease
that
it, okay.
and turn it back in. And the used equipment that we have bought from big cities is in poor condition.
Mhm.
Generally. So, I mean, if we have a reputable department that we know and we know what we're getting,
Mhm.
then there's probably some value to that too.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call please. Kirsten, you wanna take over?
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Sapani.
Yes, motion passed. Planning Commission rezone of parcel number 105-0080-00023 and lease agreement for Iron Range Partnership for Sustainability. You guys are-
Oh, it's me again. Okay, well, we met a couple weeks ago, and the Iron Range people at a deep winter greenhouse was present, and we looked at the parcel on Central. We figure it's the most acceptable and convenient parcel. You know, we've had a couple locations that have kind of fallen through. And this one is good. It is zoned for multiple housing right now. And I think we have the option, because we are initiating it, we can rezone it without any public hearing. So I would make a motion at this point that we rezone this parcel to industrial district, and it be specifically for the deep winter greenhouse.
Okay, motion on the floor by Lassie. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Lossing. Any discussion?
And that is the lot right between the two businesses.
Between the manor and,
Yeah,
Nagley's property.
And that, the drainage ditch, is that gonna create any challenges there?
I was thinking about that too. I haven't really got any opportunity to review any plans or anything on that. I think we can work around it. I think we can get there. I was looking at total elevations. I'm certain that we can figure something
Right,
out.
I think if you set back a little ways, you get away from where it might be a problem, you know? No,
Yeah.
Dennis, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you.
Could you come up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Again, I'm Dennis Peterson, Mayor, representing RPS. I agree, that ditch looks like there's plenty of elevation, and we can move it over to the east a little bit and get it off the building site. It's a nice big site. It's very good. And the only thing we'd like to, I don't know, it's a lease, whether we have any issues on the lease, but we want to have put a sandpoint well and a parking. We'd like to have a parking area, small parking area. So I don't know if that has to be added to the lease or not. And I appreciate all the work that you guys have done over the last year, especially.
Been a long journey.
Yeah.
I think with the Sandpoint, that has to be addressed, I believe, with the PUC. Dave, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the only thing they're gonna need is just a water line, and, we've looked at it, they're looking at it, and I think you're probably gonna wind up going to the north to connect up there where the hydrant is, for your water line.
They'd like to put a sand point in, for feeding.
You're talking about putting sand points in?
Yeah, yes, and then there's two options, as far as, because, going with the water line, got real complicated, we had to have a sewer line, which would be very expensive. We have to get across the street, so we'd like to go to, a sand point, which somebody said is feasible, or another option is, we really don't need much water, all we need is water, school for watering the plants, and we would have a holding tank. And I understand this city can supply water, tank once in a while, which is the feed. And,
As far as your water is concerned, sir, our next POC meeting is what, on the 8th?
17?
I think it is on the 8th.
No, it's not on the 8th. It must be on, hold on. 15th at 2 p.m.
On the 15th.
Is that not stubbed out on that lot for city sewer and water?
No,
No, there's not stubs there.
Okay,
We would have to put stubs there, and also there's a city ordinance that says if you connect to city water, you have to also connect to city sewer. And then there would be that monthly fee of $104 a month if you're just using one ERU,
plus the installation cost. which-
plus the installation cost.
So, I'm sorry, Sarah.
That's okay.
So is there a
as far as the water goes, you should come to the PUC commission to the meeting,
Okay,
and then we can discuss it.
now I'm wondering if we can.
because there has been permits in town for sand points before, I know,
for watering,
for, huh?
for watering.
For
here.
watering, for people that have bait shops in their garages and such like that. And I can understand with a greenhouse, they would rather have that kind of water than chemically treated water.
Oh, much, very.
Yeah.
This
So-
is almost a benefit that we didn't know we'd have. But the other choice is, if it looks like it might hold it up, we would just assume go with the holding tank for now and work out the.
I did talk to our PUC operator today and regarding the holding tank, because Dennis and I have been chatting a little bit. And that's an option as well, because the PUC does have a water truck and we do sell water at a rate of $25 per 1,000 gallons.
It'll probably last us at least a month, maybe 2 months.
Or if they had a portable holding tank that they could bring up to the city garage to fill for that, at that rate. Or the option of the sand point.
But I would like not to, we'd like to proceed on this project and don't want to hold it up for the sand point. If we can get by without a sand point.
You wouldn't have to come to the, well, you'd have to fill out the permit for the sand point and pay a permit fee, and then it would be presented at our meeting on the 15th, and typically they just approve or deny the sand point well. And then you'd be able to install it.
Okay,
Yes,
that would match with our proposed starting date of 15th.
yes, yep. If you're looking at connecting to city sewer water, that's gonna be a big project, and so then you would need to come to the PUC meeting to discuss with them the logistics of that project.
We just assume not go that, after what I've heard from you, we do not want to go that way.
Could he go home with the application tonight, Sarah?
Did I send, I think I
You
sent
sent
one.
me
Oh, you already have one for the sand point?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. There you go.
Also on that, I don't know how our ordinance reads, but we have to look at the ordinance, how it reads for wells and sand points. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And won't say for sure, I know the sand points that we're in are grandfathered in. I don't know if the city allows any more sand points to be put in. We'd have to look at the ordinance, and I'm not sure, so. That's something to come to the meeting and we can look it up.
That's why I would like to say, okay, we're going to go with the holding tank and we're going to work on the sand point. And so that may drag on for a period of time, and I can go on. The Sandpoint application can be going on while we're doing construction.
When did you want to start building?
15th,
On the 15th?
yes,
Okay, got it.
and looks like everybody, the excavator is ready, the contractor's ready.
Have we signed the lease agreement for this property yet?
I understand that's the point of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why I wanted to add those couple
Mhm.
possibilities to the leases that I think Sarah mentioned that we should add.
Right.
I think Dennis's point here is that he's looking to either include in the lease agreement something about water, which it sounds like we probably don't need to if they're going to go to PUC to install the Sandpoint, and potentially putting a small parking lot on the area as well.
I think that we would need we would need the well to be in the lease agreement because this is city-owned land. It's gonna be leased, so correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Lewicki. You would wanna put that in the lease agreement, wouldn't you, if they're adding?
No, we can modify it by an addendum later if we
Okay.
need to.
Okay,
If they're gonna, because the plan is to go with the holding tank. While my mic's on, I will say that the rezoning language for the legal description is the entirety of that parcel. And I just want to point out that that is, so if you're rezoning all of that,
All the green.
not all of that is being
Right.
leased.
The green-blue area,
So,
instead of just the one square.
the
So,
green,
Like all of
blue.
this, it's outlined in like a green-blue instead of that little square.
Well, I'm
On the
looking
map.
at page 37.
Yep.
And you'll see that there's quite a bit, the pond to the west, the whole section to the north.
is there a commercial
road.
business on that property as well? Is the other end on that property? Is the other end?
Yeah, I just want to point out that the portion that's being contemplated for leasing and I believe for rezoning too, is just the little portion that's in between the Manor and Negley's properties right off Central. And there are other sections, or there's other areas of land that are part of that parcel and that are included in the legal description for the rezoning that are really not contemplated to be leased. So just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. And
Attorney Lewicki, does that mean that they would need to have a survey to survey that portion out?
no, I think that we can adequately identify the
Okay.
portion that's going to be leased. Because you don't use the parcel ID number anyways for the legal description of what's going to
Right,
be
that's what I
leased.
was
So,
gonna say, right, that's something
Yeah.
that we can just
Yep.
write into the
Yeah.
agreements.
Tony, you know where that road approach is off of North Drive right there, past where the worm farm is? There's that little road approach.
That's all private property.
That is private property right there. I was just wondering if that was an easement. There's not an easement right there.
No,
Okay.
there's not.
Have you've been working with their attorney regarding the lease agreement, correct?
well, I don't see a lease agreement in the packet that's to be,
Initially, they were going for that Mulberry lot, and then they decided to change directions and go to Bridges.
so are there any other changes besides the parking lot and the location?
Just the parking lot and the location, obviously, and the potential for a well.
The lease amount would be based on the tax value as well.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm a little, hate to say it, but I'm a little confused on the status of the lease. You're writing the lease changes, rewriting the lease?
No, I'm not writing any changes to it. There is a draft of that that's been circulated.
Okay. So that draft that's been circulated will have the changes in it.
The draft that's been circulated, is that the one with the mulberry lots? So we need a new draft with the new parcel identifying just that portion of the parcel
Correct.
and adding the potential for a parking lot? And is that it? Those were the two changes?
And the well.
And the potential for a well, a private well. We'll call it a private well because our ordinance does, in our application does just call it a private well. And I think that covers both a drill well and a sand point, so we would have to explore the ordinance. When the PUC approves the application for the private well, that's when you would explore that. But if you wanted it added now, you could, or like Attorney Lewicki said, if you decide to go that route in the future, we could add it as an addendum to the lease.
I would just see, have it later, because rather than
Add it
try to
later.
complicate it anymore.
So just the parking lot and the change of the parcel code, just identifying that parcel, that portion of that parcel.
And the tax value for the lease.
I think that that's correct. I think that's gonna stay the same, but we're gonna be modifying the quantity of leased land. I think the lease that was sent this morning has 16 acres listed on it. That's obviously not
Yeah, I know.
correct. So,
And then
gonna be making a very large greenhouse.
question for you as well, Joel, is he mentioned that they're looking to break ground on July 15th.
Yeah, I would approve it. This is contingent on the updates made to the legal description for the
Okay,
demised leased premises.
because our next meeting's not till.
Yeah.
And then just to clarify too, you would need a approved building permit, so the planning and zoning department, I believe you have submitted a building permit.
That's what I understand with Chris, I think with Chris.
Yeah.
And that should be a impediment at all, right?
It shouldn't be any problem. What you're gonna do is far enough back from, we're mostly concerned with lot lines. Yeah.
Okay.
And setbacks, and that should not be a problem. So, but, yeah, you should get a hold of Chris, and I don't think he's gonna be available this week.
Okay, I
So
understand.
he will be available next week. So get a hold of him and find out what he needs as far as a plan. But basically, you're gonna need to show the location of the greenhouse, as far as lot lines and setbacks, and the potential parking lot area.
I understand Heather is talking to him about that.
Yeah.
Something about that.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes?
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Japonsit.
Yes, motion carries. New business. On to
Just
new
a quick
business.
question
Yes,
on
sir.
that. We just made a motion to authorize changes, rezoning it. Do we need to do a motion to authorize him to start building on the 15th? Pending the changes to the
Oh, and
contract?
well, we need to do the lease agreement then.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that, I'm sorry, that was two parts. So yeah, now we need to go on to the lease agreement. So the lease agreement changes being the legal description and the addition of a parking lot and then, right?
Yes, and then we agreed that if they decide to do a private well, we can add that as an addendum to the lease agreement in the future.
Mhm.
Just those
Okay,
two changes.
so do we have a motion?
Because the fees won't change, is that correct, Attorney Lewicki? It's about the same.
I don't believe they're changing, no.
Okay,
so I will make a motion that we approve condition of the contract until, or how, I don't know how to word it, but to incorporate the new lot number, the addition of a parking lot, and the addition of a no well. Okay, just those two things.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by White and a second by Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yep.
White,
Yes,
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Japonsit.
Yes, motion carries. Now on to new business. Resolution number 2025-12, accepting funds from Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for the City of Babbitt Stormwater Resilience Plan.
I'll make a motion, we accept money from the Pollution Control Agency.
Okay, motion by White to accept. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Lassie. Any discussion? Roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes,
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Japonsit.
Yes, motion carries. B, SEH Stormwater Resilience Plan Contract.
Mayor, if I could,
Sure.
just because I'm gonna have to go in about 5 minutes, if there was any questions on the addition of the clerk treasurer contract with the revisions that I submitted today, I wanted to address those while I'm here
Sure.
still. If you wanted to
Sure.
take
Yeah, I'm fine with
that up on the agenda now, or,
Sure, I'm fine with that.
We did add in the verbiage that you guys had discussed and voted on at the meeting yesterday. Joel then revised it today and just made a couple adjustments regarding the pronouns, because it said they before we had a name. And then just the verbiage of a little bit of it as well. So the major additions was under item 10, the first paragraph.
Do they have the updated,
Yep, it's in the back of their packets.
the updated one from today? Okay. Mine is not the updated one.
B,
It's just not in red. It's all.
fine.
It's
63, item 10, okay?
that first paragraph under item 10. And then on page 62, under overtime and compensatory pay, that whole paragraph was added. And a little bit under section 7 regarding severance, training, so on and so forth.
So if I understand it, it's pretty much what we agreed to yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
And Attorney Lucy looked it over and made revisions as well.
And then Kirsten and I both looked it over to make sure that there weren't any more errors or.
So we're good to go on it then, huh?
All right, I can help.
If you guys have any questions for Joel, otherwise it would just be to move him for that.
What number is it?
What page?
Starts on page 60.
The very end of your packet. The changes that you guys motioned for are reflected on page 62 and 63 under sections 6, 7, and 10.
I don't have any questions.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, you're good, Joel.
Thank you, Attorney Lugie, for taking the time to look at that last minute. We just finished up at 6 o'clock last night. He was able to get this revised for us by today.
Okay, thanks, Joel.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will go on with resilience plan, SEH stormwater resilience plan.
Yeah, essentially, it's our contracts. The previous agenda item was your SPCA grant. This is a contract to perform the work in accordance to that grant that you were awarded through MPCA. There is a small local match portion of that grant that I believe the city will be providing with some cash and some in-kind services that Tony and his crew will be performing. Other than that, it's identical to what was approved in your work plan through MPCA.
I just have one question. So your payment, it's on the payment line?
Yep.
Paragraph, it says the payment is hourly not to exceed 117,093. You're not getting 117,000 an hour.
Say that again?
So it says the payment is hourly not to exceed 117,093. So you're not getting 117 an hour.
No. It's standard rates.
Right.
It's just saying that that's the max of our contract.
Yes.
We bill on an hourly basis.
So the travel, transportation expense, the extra expenses on page 40, section B,
Sure.
those are in addition to the 107?
Nope, that's all
That's all
included in
included in there?
117. Yep.
Okay.
That is the maximum of our contract is the 117.
Okay.
And your grant is for 120 something, I believe. Your grant is on page 47, so your grant is 122,798.28. So the difference between our contract and yours is the city portion.
Do we know where are we taking the money from? The city match portion, where's that coming from?
We talked about maybe pulling it out of street capital because it kind of is, but, we were shopping for other avenues too. We did, recently get refunded our FEMA money, which kind of goes hand in hand with what we're working on here, so. We do have some funds that we took in recently that we could apply toward this.
How much did you get back?
It was a rough total of maybe,
68.
yeah, 69,000 and then minus our expenses, so there was a little bit more. I would like to be able to finish analyzing and receiving that and then I'll put it on the next agenda for FYIs.
We're working with the auditors to receive the payment based off of state and federal funding received, because it's a combination of.
Sure.
And since it was done in 2024, we don't have the power to play with those numbers.
Okay, so do we have any other, questions regarding the agreement for the plan? Are we ready to move forward with the motion?
Yeah. How will we enter into the agreement for the resilience plan?
Okay, motion by Lassie, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Second by Fitzpatrick, any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie?
Yes.
Lossing?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Lupansich?
Yes, motion carries. C, Abdu Consulting update. I asked for her. Oh, nope, I just asked for an update, where we were at with, getting back in line with everything. So that's why I had this put on the agenda. I know people in the, public have been asking about it, where we're sitting with getting everything in line, so I just figure it's only appropriate.
So I just wanted to give the council a quick update on the 2024 yearly audit being done by Walker, Drew, and Hani, and the reconciliations being done by Abdu, and I know the citizens would also like an update. At this time, Abdu is still in the process of doing the January through December 2024 bank reconciliations. They're working closely with our office and Walker, Drew, and Hani, and as of today, they've completed through June. So last week they were just done with May, but now today I got June. Things seem to be going well, but there will be no results until the final report is given. And then Walker, Drew, and Hani, our auditing firm, gives us the information to make adjustments to the 2024 financials to make sure that the cash is balanced. We did have to file an extension on the deadline for a state audit report, which is prepared by Walker, Drew, and Hani. That's what they do for us. They prepare a state report. They did give us an extension. The state gave us an extension to August 15th. I hope as Abdu is done by then and Walker, Drew, and Hani will have the report complete for us. I also just wanted to follow up with the claim that we submitted with our insurance company at the League of Minnesota Cities to see if they would cover the Abdu expenses. They only cover claims that constitute malfeasance, willful neglect of duties, or bad faith. And since there's technically no missing money, it just wasn't recorded properly. The expense is not covered.
Okay. Yeah, so what Walker, Drew, and Hani, when they were going through the audit, it was recommended that everything be wiped clean and start over from 2024 because they were unable to determine accurately where anything was. So, which is part of the problem. So we're making headway and we're gonna get it all straightened out.
Correct.
So,
Yes, and it's just a matter of the cash balancing at the end of the year. There's different departments and many different factors in our financials. And so it's not that money is missing, it's that it was mismanaged or miscoded or whatever so it doesn't the cash balance doesn't balance out. It doesn't mean there's missing money.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
On to Roger's.
Do you wanna go back to the campground thing now?
Yeah, I knew we were forgetting something.
Did we forget it?
No, she went to go
Oh,
get the
that's right, you got it.
information.
Okay, yeah, let's go back to the campground. Sorry about that. Thank
That's
you.
okay. We couldn't find the numbers, but Kirsten hammered out some really rough numbers, but so if we rented the site starting July 15th, we could charge about $1,900. So if you wanted to come up with some kind of a compensation for the tenants that are forfeiting their site, you could come up with a percentage from there. If you wanted to give them 20% of that, 25%, offer them something. It's up to you guys to decide how much of that 1,900 you would be willing to share with them.
How long did they occupy that site?
I believe they had rented it when we had first opened up and continued their rental, as the years progressed, so what are we up to, 2022, 23? 23. And, they hadn't even occupied it at all this year. They had bought a home and decided that they are no longer living the RV life.
So, but what I was getting at, when was their trailer put there? And
They
when-
had left it from last season.
Okay,
So
until
this
when was
season
it
is
removed?
May to October, and they just sold it yesterday.
It's
Got it
probably
out
still
of
there.
So basically, they've been occupying the site.
Correct, but if we prorate it and they cancel their agreement and forfeit their site and we can re-rent it, we could re-rent it for the $1,900 for the remainder of the season. And then if you guys wanted to come up with a compensation for those who forfeited, I think it should be put in some sort of an agreement that is standard for everybody moving forward. So if you wanted to say 20%, it would be approximately $400 that they would get.
And that $1,900 is, prorated for what they're paying right now, so would we be-
Prorated for a seasonal site,
So,
yeah.
but they've already paid fully for a seasonal, so would we be losing money if we gave them a portion of that?
No, we would be able to rent it and get this $1,900 as additional funds.
So we gained $1,500.
And then if we paid them out a certain amount, and again, I would just recommend making it a standard
Mhm.
cancellation policy, forfeiture policy, and a percentage that you're willing to do for anybody that forfeits their site at a
Yep,
prorated
agreed.
rate.
And it's only if someone from the wait list or someone in
Correct.
general is willing
If
to take
we're able
over
to
the rent.
re-rent it.
Yes.
And if the current leaseholders are willing to sign a cancellation, because at this point, they do still have the right to hold the site for the rest of the season.
How much would 30% be?
They can't sublet it, but they can,
Give it back to us.
they can just hold it. They're in an agreement and they paid for it. $581.
So it'd be about, let's just under 1,400 we'd gain in profit by re-renting it out.
If somebody picks it up right away.
Yeah.
That's assuming it's re-rented effective July 15th.
Yeah,
Or I think what did it say, like, so $18 a night is the prorated rate.
So what the clause should read is something like, city would reimburse, whatever percentage is agreed upon if we're able to re-rent it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have to hold them to the contract. So if we can't find anyone, then they have to hold to it.
Then we don't lose any money and we
Right.
don't get any extra.
That's the goal.
And the person on the wait list would get first dibs at that thing next year.
Or this year, no.
For
Well,
next year.
if someone were to rent it for the remainder of the season and essentially take over the lease from us, they would get priority in re-renting it for next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
But you'd start by just going down the list
yes.
of whoever's.
And you have a substantial wait list.
I believe there are 5 or 6 people on the wait list currently for this year.
I might be adding myself to it. But
25%.
no, for getting on the list. I guess I would make a motion that we start a policy that we would do 30% refund if it can be rented out for the remainder of the year by another seasonal. I mean, I think the reason I'm coming up with that, well, we can talk about it after the motion, but that would be my motion.
And when you say 30% of the, that is the 30% of the prorated.
Of the
rate
prorated,
that we would
yeah,
get,
that we would get.
Not 30% of the initial.
Exactly, 30% of the prorated amount.
Maybe you could just word that differently, where it would be 30% of the new lease agreement
Correct.
Yeah,
after forfeiture,
yeah,
right? Because that'll write your days down exactly what that is then. 30% of the value that you're actually receiving. so
Yes.
that you don't have to put all
the
this other language in
$518 that
here.
Sarah
I like
just
the
said.
new lease agreement.
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
That workable, Sarah?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
My-
do we have,
with my
we have a motion, do we have a
trusted
second?
I'll second.
Second by Lossing, any discussion?
The reason I picked the 30% is I want it to be enough to where they'll be willing to take it. I mean, they're not gonna rent it anyway. At least $500 back. We're still making a profit, but it's enough to where I would think someone would be like, I'd probably be willing to do that. That way they don't just stay there with an empty lot for the year.
Well, and it waives their liability on the lot.
Yeah,
Like right now, if they keep their lease with us, they're still liable and responsible for that lot based on the lease agreement that they have signed with us for the year.
I just think 30% is a bit on the high side, like I could do 20 or 25, but whatever. That's just my comment
I
on
would
it.
say, my thought was 25, but yeah, where's the magic number? I get it.
yeah, I don't know. I just,
I think,
A little bit more than
25
20.
in this case is gonna be about $500. That's gonna cut their loss down to, they've already used, a half of the summer? Are they about halfway right now?
I'll rescind my motion to 25%. I'm fine with that. I just think 20 was too low.
Okay. Who seconded?
Lossing.
Wait, oh, that's right, you said it so loudly.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. Okay, you're okay with that change. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes,
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes, motion carries. Now Rogers
Okay.
Online Service Agreement. Okay, this is just Rogers annual.
We had started services with him in roughly July of 2023. The council approved his services based off of his estimate. I don't believe we signed a formal contract, and he sent me one for now moving forward.
And does it fall in line with what was, I wasn't here for the last one, so. Is there an increase? Is it similar?
The rates are the same as far as, and what he covers, it's a little bit more restrictive on like what we call for, like if he has to recalibrate the printer or something, that's not necessarily part of the contract, but we do also have a lease agreement with our copy machine manufacturer, so they're typically available for those kinds of services.
And you're satisfied with the service?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay, well, now's the time to say it.
Although we did move to a new program, we moved to Microsoft, but I feel like we have a ton of problems. There's always something, I can't even put it, out of office email reminder on my email.
And is that because of Rogers service or is it because of Microsoft?
I'm not sure, but he's our IT guy, so I don't know any other places that can't put a vacation responder on their Microsoft, on their Outlook.
Is it responsive to your needs?
Yes.
and there aren't many other IT service providers. He does service a lot of our areas, government as well, but like Sarah said, we have been having some issues arise, especially with our new equipment, new server, new emails. It's been a little bit of a struggle. He is responsive though.
He is responsive.
So,
Is he responsible for the server? Did he implement, like,
He installed new servers and he implemented the new .gov emails. And he's actually in the process of completing that for the rest of the departments too.
have you asked him about the out of office response?
About 100 times.
So how about if we sign this after you get that resolved?
I don't know that it's resolvable and I don't know that that's truly the only issue. I feel like there's a lot of things, but at least we do have him to call and he is responsive to things. And he does work with our software company, Banyan. And there are not many IT options out there.
how do we track his remote work? How can we?
I'm sure that he tracks it, and that is something that I really like about Rogers Online, is that he will say, leave your computer on and I'll chime in remotely, and he'll chime in at midnight, whatever time he has time to do it. He takes care of the business when he can.
That's good.
Okay.
So I do like that. I definitely think we need an IT person
Mhm.
within our office. There's a lot going on.
So are you saying you're happy with them?
Yes and
Would
no.
right, so.
But what you're saying- But what you're saying is.
We don't have a lot of other options,
Right.
and he does a good enough job that I would be
Right.
okay
I
with
mean,
him
we're
being
listening
longer
to you if you
here.
want if you want
Especially
change.
since we've been doing changes, since we changed over, and so he probably had a lot on his plate as well.
Okay, how long is this agreement for? 1 year?
It just says that it's billed monthly.
Yeah, it doesn't have an end date.
So legal contracts have to have, too bad Joe's not here. They have to have a start date and an end date. They can't just perpetually renew.
And we have been operating without a contract with him for the past year and a half.
I guess my only comment on this, as long as you're okay with what you are semi-okay with what is going on, and he needs a contract start and end date. And then like a cancellation, something, you know? Like in the event of,
And I know Rogers Online works with a lot of other cities.
right,
I'm sort of not sure if this is his standard.
yeah, I don't know either. That's my only thing, is that legally there can't be a perpetual contract.
Without a start date, end date, and terms of termination,
Yeah, or cancellation.
cancellation.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect, so we can table that, and we'll reach out to Roger and see if he can
Sounds
doctor
good.
that up a little bit.
Has Joel looked this over at all?
I did send it to him, but I
Okay,
have
Haven't heard
not
back?
heard any response.
okay, so. and
Yeah, he probably needs to, because there's a lot of stuff in here that can bite us.
Okay, so that is tabled. So on to the next item, the resolution number 2025-13, forfeiting funds received from the St. Louis County Community Development Block Grant.
This is that CBDG money that we discussed before.
Yeah.
Due to the propane tanks, it's gonna cost more to mitigate that. So we're gonna return the funds, we just wanted a resolution.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the floor from anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 2025-13.
Okay, motion by Fitzpatrick, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Lassie, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes,
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes, motion carries. On to the Parks and City Beautification wage increase. So there was a letter in the packet advocating for an increase in wages for the city gardener. Sarah, I think you emailed us, right?
Yeah, this is just something that was brought to my attention. Cindy asked about it. She said that every once in a while, Kathy would come to the council and ask for a wage increase. Right now, she's making $16 an hour. It's budgeted for her to work approximately what did I say, 500 and some hours in a year. She's not quite working that many hours, but she did take on the garden by Zoop's, in front of Zoop's there. But there's nothing in our policies that state for the part-time or seasonal employees, their wage increases. So, my thing when I talked to her about it was that, yes, you can request this increase, but at what point does it stop? You can't just keep asking for a $1 raise because you're gonna catch up to our part-time employees who work year-round, so.
And she's not working the hours that are budgeted for her?
Not quite. She's working, I feel like the average that's budgeted for is about 53 hours a pay period, and she's averaging about 37 a pay period. So however you guys want to math it and decide. I know that the last increase was 2023, proposed by Kathy Brock. And that proposal was because she was making as much as the summer help.
Well, she does a hell of a good job, although we grant the $1 wage increase.
Okay, and motion by Lassie, do we have a second? I will second it. Discussion? Do we potentially have the funds to cover that?
I would say yes, if she continues to work under the budgeted hours that she, yeah, if she
But
continues to
there's
work
no
about the
funds, there's no
same.
contractual.
There's no contractual anything, there's nothing in any policies, there's no contract with her. She's basically just able to work what she works.
What was her pay increase from in 2020
It
or
was
whatever?
it was from $15 to $16.
And now she wants to be 17 an hour?
Correct.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lassie?
Yes.
Lossing?
Yes.
White?
No.
Fitzpatrick?
Abstain.
Zupansich?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, on to Recreation Committee reassignment, resignation. So we had a member of the rec board resign. They had to move, so, do we have a motion to accept his resignation?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Lossing, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by White, any discussion?
We should send a letter of thank you.
Thank you, that's what I was to say.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie?
Yes.
Lossing?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Zupansich?
Yes, motion carries. Hire Maisie Sunblad to the street department summer help.
So I had one summer employee go down to 1 to 2 days a week, and we're trying to get a bunch of stuff done. This is going to be well within our budget. She's leaving mid-August to go to college, so she's done 2 weeks early. It fits. It works in the budget. So.
I'll move to hire Maisie Sunblatt for the street department.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Lassie, second by White to hire Maisie Sunblad. Any discussion? Roll call please.
Lassie?
Yes.
Lossing?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Zupansich?
Yes, motion carries. I, Union 320 and Union 346, letter of understanding for PUC new hire.
The PUC did put out for their superintendent. They ultimately ended up hiring somebody who is not quite licensed, but so we're kind of in the same boat with Chucky, how Chucky did it. We are going to hire him with intent to be superintendent when he gets licensed. So there was just a few things in the union contract that we kind of wanted protection on, and it needs mayoral signature, so I thought I would put it on the agenda so that you all can look at it before I ask the mayor to sign.
Sure. What did you, what did you put in for changes?
So the changes are just saying that, we won't, let me just pull it up real quick. Where is it? Here it is. It just kind of tells that, he will be given the lead pay consistently, because in the contract, it does say now that the lead pay is when your superintendent is on vacation or sick, so because he's hired as intent to be superintendent, he gets that lead pay per hour. Just kind of says that they will give him the necessary time to get licensed and not hire a superintendent in front of him. That's pretty much it.
Okay, and,
And that he'll move from 346 unit to 320 when he gets the license for the B operator.
okay, and is the city paying for his license?
No,
Okay.
the PUC discussed it, and the PUC pays for training across the board for all of its employees. So if Pat needs to go to training, Pat goes to training. If Chucky went to training, Chucky went to training. So the PUC decided ultimately that they didn't want to ask for any compensation if if he was not to stay with the city. So they decided that they train their employees equally, and they would like to keep it that way.
So the
The
city,
city of Abbott's not for anything.
Oh,
The public-
right,
The public
okay.
utilities is, and the
There you
public
go.
utilities decided that they are
Got
fine with that, and the public utilities signed off on this letter. Right?
Yep, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
I
Thank
know
you
that's
for
okay. No.
Okay.
And I don't even,
I
it's not
guess-
really common practice to put PUC stuff on the agenda, but
Right.
I'm not comfortable getting a mayoral signature on something that hasn't been put before.
And Teamsters is requiring the signature.
Teamsters requiring signatures, yeah.
Alright, so then we just need a motion to allow the signature. We basically don't have any say over it, so, I mean, over the contract, so.
Right.
It's a formality.
Right, it's just an FYI, and I didn't, like I said, I'm not comfortable with having you sign stuff.
Yep, understand, thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion from anyone?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion from Lassie, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by White, any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Zupansich.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, on to J, which is page 5958. Blomberg, Oil has submitted a fire hall air conditioning bid estimate, whatever you wanna call it. Were we able to get any other ones or no?
So, no, because they just went through the other day, something happened at the fire hall that did damage to stuff, I think. We can't prove that, so I was
Most?
trying to figure something out, but both air conditioners went down. One was repairable, the other one is not. It's an antique, it's due for replacement. And it's terrible in there. The building's, effectively uninsulated. It's not a fantastic place to be the last week. So, I'd like to get the ball rolling on this. They were able to get us a smoking deal on the unit. It's a large unit for that. They found, a decent price on it for us. I think it's a very fair deal for what we're getting. It's quite a long run between the unit itself and the condenser inside, or evaporator inside. And, yeah.
And you guys have money?
I don't pad my budget to soak up a $6,700 air conditioner. I'm gonna do my best to make up a lot of that, but if I'm being completely honest, the front door's falling off. We did put a fair amount of money away for building maintenance because we know we need a fair amount. I don't know that it's all there, but it's close.
Okay, so are you asking then for city facilities?
So when we did the heating system in there years ago, we did pull it from city facilities.
All of it?
Yeah,
Okay,
because we don't budget for those things, so. You know, this is unexpected and I don't
Right.
try and float this kind of money every year to try and make up for stuff like this, so.
Okay,
How much do you expect the electrical to be?
The electrical,
Yeah, that's not included in this.
to hook it up,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's all there,
Oh,
it'll be very affordable, yeah. It's a replacement unit to what's already existing, so.
Well, you said it was very old. I thought maybe it was like my house where it's still 50s electrical.
now been.
Oh, no, the electrical's intact enough to do the job, we got breaker panels and things in the fire hall, but, the AC unit, I mean, we're thinking is over 30 years old. It's shot, the compressor's shot, the fan is shot, the coil's gunked up.
And the other one is too? I mean, the other one's just as old?
I believe so, but we repaired that, so,
So that might be coming down the.
not this year, hopefully.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
any time though, sure.
Okay. Do we have a? No, we don't have a motion yet. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to allow Tony to get a new air conditioner for the fire hall.
Motion by Fitzpatrick. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Lossing. And that is coming from city facilities. Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Lassie,
Yes.
Lossing,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Johansson.
Yes, motion carries. K, on to the employment agreement for the city clerk treasurer. So council met and interviewed, and we had a lot of really good applicants. Like, it was really nice to see, and it was a hard decision. It was really difficult, but I feel we made the right decision as a council, and so, we came up with, I can say who it is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we contract.
it's in the contract, yeah.
So, yeah, so, we have decided to, present Nancy Sanford with the contract, and we just need council approval on it now. So I need a motion.
I will make a motion.
Okay, motion by Lawson
I'll second it.
and second by White. Any discussion?
I would,
How are we gonna get her the contract?
I'm gonna email it to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's expecting it.
Yeah, staff will present it to her tomorrow and, or tonight or whatever, whenever, once we have the approval, so.
I would, in discussion, I would just like to say the same thing I did last night in our meeting, let the public know that the process completely changed this time on how we hired, and it was very thorough. We had 24 applicants. We narrowed that down to 10. We did not know who they were. We didn't know their name. We didn't know whether they were male or female. All we knew was their credentials. Out of that, we narrowed it down to 10. We narrowed it down to 5. And we narrowed it down to 3. And the last 3, any one of them would have been probably a pretty good operator for us. We'll see. So I myself, and I think I can speak for the rest of us, I think everybody feels good about the work we did. We had a lot of time into it, but it's what our community deserves, and I'm really proud to be part of this process. So.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please. No? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you want to say anything?
Do we have to put the,
I was waiting for,
the contract doesn't have a base wage in it yet, does it?
Yeah,
Okay. Lassie,
yes.
or do you want me to delay?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
Lassie,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Johansson.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, next council meeting will be July 15th at 5 PM.
I will be here.
A motion to adjourn,
So,
motion by Lassie, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by White. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Oh, we got a lot done today. We got chicken.